Hey everybody, just threw a couple of snails in Butterbean's tank, and I happen to have my camera right here ready to hand, so I figured why not. Everybody always loves watching Butterbean eat his dinner. So this is not my good camera, so we can't really zoom in close. This is the camera that kind of freaks him out, so if we get too much closer than we are now, he's probably going to want to stop what he's doing and pay more attention to the camera. So you'll also notice I got some Bumblebee Gobies in there. I've got some ghost shrimp. And then somewhere in the tank right now is a couple of Orange Sailfin Mollies. I did just put some flake food in the tank. If you see that little bits of detritus floating around, that's what that is. That is for the little gobies. You can actually see the little goby right there darting around grabbing those little bits of flake food. The shrimp will eat the flake food, and then of course the mollies will eat the flake food as well. The puffer will never ever eat flake food. I've never tried putting just meat in the tank. Like, you can use like just pieces of mussel or pieces of shrimp, raw shrimp, or raw mussel that if you've cleaned it and shelled it, you can put it in there. I've never done anything like that. I always either do the freeze-dried krill or I do the the snails. And it's either what he's got now is a couple of ram's horn snails, but I also put the pond snails in there. And I used to put bloodworms in there when he was younger, and he still tears up the bloodworms, but that's just not worth it for me. It's kind of a pain in the butt, and if he's going to be getting a meaty diet anyway, there's no point in, I may as well just give him the snails that I'm giving him right now. I do feed the snails with my high quality fish food, either the high carry algae wafers or the flake food you see swirling around in the tank right now gets fed to the snails. So ultimately that's what Butterbean's eating. It's not snails that have been fed on a diet of nothing but algae. They're actually getting a high quality fish food as their diet. And then of course as Butterbean eats the snails, he's getting all of those nutrients in turn. So that's definitely one of the benefits of breeding your own snails. I am happy to say that so far, since I cleared the snail tank out and got rid of all the planaria that was in there, it looks like the snails are breeding like you'd expect snails to breed when you've just got them in a tank that you're dumping food in and they have no predators. I've got little black specks all over the inside of the tank, which I can only assume is baby snails. So I really shouldn't have any problem worrying about getting snails anymore, either for Butterbean here or for my various tanks that have loaches in them. You could never go wrong throwing snails in a tank that has loaches in them, because loaches absolutely love the snails. In fact, they're specialized snail feeders in the wild. They actually go after them more than any other food source if they can find them. He just never gets old. Puffers are just the coolest fish ever, watching them eat, watching them swim around and do things. I've been trying to spend a little more time in the fish room here, and when I come in the fish room, I've been turning the overhead light on so he can see out of the tank and see me. And I've been trying to interact with him a little more too, and I've noticed he's been out and about more. So I really think me interacting with him has given him a little bit more enrichment that I was talking about in a different video, where these more intelligent fish like these puffers actually really do need some enrichment in their life. They can't just swim around in a bare empty tank, and even though there's other animals in the tank, and even though there's plenty of caves and leaves and stuff, how many times can you swim around the same leaves without having something else to interact with? So I think just by me being in the room and walking around, just having someone in the room to watch gives him something to do, so to speak. And I think it's made a difference. He really does seem to be coming out of his cave a lot more, and his belly seems to be gray a lot less often. I see it bright white, in fact, and a lot of times, Usually it's just pale, but every now and again I'll come down here and it'll be bright white. It's usually bright white when I come in, and by the time I've walked in and out of the room 5 times, you know, doing water changes and stuff, you know, after that, then it's no longer bright white. It's starting to gray up a little. He tends to get a little stressed out if I'm coming and going too much. But as I've said plenty of times before, I think Butterbean is probably the world's most timid puffer ever. So there you go. I'm going to go ahead and call that good. Get on with doing my other little odds and ends that I was doing down here, but I wanted to stop and get a little bit of video of him feeding because he always is fun to watch when we do that. So make sure you subscribe. That way you won't miss anything I got coming up. I do these little oddball videos all the time, and you don't want to miss any of them. They're always a lot of fun, especially when they're of Butterbean here. And don't forget, this is my Brackish Tank. Thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you real soon in the next one.